So the disruption that we're trying to impact and sort of mobilize in the region really is about the space where people form opinions. Beyond the idea of a space for information, there is a space for conversation in the Arab world that's really central to transition to democracy. But unfortunately, and this is a major problem, that space is dominated by a very small group of the population, mostly men between the ages of 50 and 80 here in the Arab world. And one of the ways we're doing that is through a digital platform that opened debate completely to anybody who's interested in taking part. Now we know that it's not about making everybody debate about politics all the time, but those who want to take part in the discourse have so few ways of engaging constructively in public debates. So we lessen the barriers for people to take part through this debate platform. And Arab world internet penetration is now over the global average, so there's a really tremendous potential in bringing in new voices by leveraging and harnessing some of that new technology. And that's just one of the ways we're doing it. So the way the platform works is we devise a motion that's mostly crowdsourced through our internet platforms, Facebook, Twitter, and so on. We ask people what are the things that they'd like to debate. So we look at key questions, political questions, social questions that are really central at this period, at this juncture in the history of the region. And then we formulate one of those topics in a motion that is provocatively formulated, and it can be something like freedom of speech should never be limited. And then you choose your camp, you have 99 seconds to make your argument either on the pro or on the contra side. So for several weeks we stimulate this debate online, and it's really fascinating to see how people who would otherwise not have a voice contribute in this process and get discovered. And then there's a public vote which really gives so much more legitimacy to these online debates. And the winners of those debates then take part in what we're most well known for, which is these television programs. And here the kind of disruption that we're trying to move forward is, if you look at the broadcast sphere in the Arab world, it is so fragmented. There are over 100 24-hour news channels, each presenting a completely separate version of reality. So this kind of fragmentation is fanning the flames of sectarianism and conflict and polarization. So what we're trying to do with this program, the only civil society-run program, political talk show on Arabic television, is to kind of break through that fragmentation. In fact, one of the things we're doing is offering a completely open signal to any television station that agrees not to interfere in the content. So that's a really great way of reaching across the ideological spectrum of a polarized media sphere on the one hand, but also, of course, a path to scale because we're not limited to one television station. So that's the kind of disruptive model we're looking at in the television space. So I do think that freedom of speech remains a central challenge across the entire region. But I also want to emphasize that freedom of speech is part of an equation that we have to look at. Because even when freedom of speech is a guaranteed right, much like it is in the United States of America, you still haven't looked at the question of the health of public conversation. You see tremendous polarization in America, but also in established democracies across the world. So yes, freedom of speech is critical. It is a very important, a necessary condition, but not a sufficient condition for a healthy public discourse. So the health of the public discourse really is what we should be looking at. That's the prism that is missing in the paradigm that is missing in the conversation. This is an incredibly important forum. It has a convening power that really shouldn't be underestimated. It brings so many different parts together, from governments, from civil society, activists, and academia, and sort of convening all these fields in such a meaningful forum with such high profile thinkers such as Frank Fukuyama, Larry Diamond, and others is very, very meaningful. And we're really grateful as fellows for the kind of support that we're receiving from Stanford University and CDDRL, and indeed the Omidyar Network, because it's really in meetings such as these that ideas flourish through the exchange with people who are really fundamentally facing very similar challenges. Yes, we're from all over the world, but at the end of the day, the challenges are very, very similar in nature. And so looking at how others have dealt with some of these challenges is incredibly enriching as an experience.